Please, could anyone explain why 195 school children would be taken for over 3 years in captivity? In a polity where the government claims to be responsible for the security of lives and property of its citizenry. Before assumption of office, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari consistently declared that the rescue of the missing Chibok girls would be his #1 priority. Since the release of the last set of 21 missing Chibok girls, bringing the total number of the rescued children to 81, what has happened to government's rescue operations? Have they gone to sleep? Or is the government saying that's the best it could offer Nigerians? Certainly, one person who is accountable to many of these unanswered questions is the man at the helm of affairs of the nation's defense and national security. The Nigeria's Defense Minister, Mansur Dan Ali, he gets on the hot seat. It's question time. Welcome to the program. I'm Gbenga Ashiru. You may also join in this conversation by sending us a comment on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Undeniably, Nigeria's Defense Minister, General Dan Ali, has his work cut out in addressing the offshoots of the nation's post-insurgency challenges, namely the reconstruction of the Northeast and reuniting of the internally displaced children with their families and loved ones. And this seemed clearly an inevitable takeoff point where the Defense Minister joined us in this exclusive interview.
Well, like you rightly said, the Minister of Defense is responsible for defense policy and the territorial integrity of our country. Of course, you know, there must have been some differences of what you have been watching before or what you have been seeing. Hitherto, our armed forces, like I always say, they need to be reformed. There was deliberate policy to reform all the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria with the coming of the present administration. And if you can vividly remember, 2 years ago, the situation in the Northeast has tremendously improved upon what we met it. And I can assure you that you can move almost freely now from all the 6 states in the Northeast, freely from one state to another without any hindrance or security threats across the region.
You said recently that the challenge of post-insurgency are huge, and highlighting some of these challenges, which includes the reconstruction of the region and also resettlement of the IDPs. What are you coming up with in the immediate term to address these plights?
Before we go into my ministry's commitment in that area, remember that there was a presidential commission in charge of Northeast initiative, which was formed by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. This one has entirely the responsibility of reconstructing and bringing other infrastructural development within the region. Ideally, the ministry is only in charge of the additional security that need to be given to this committee, which will bring up with the infrastructural development, because there can't be development in that region without the proper perspective of security. So we are looking at it in different ways. First and foremost, we formed a committee, interministerial committee, whereby all the stakeholders are called, they came, they sat down and make concrete recommendations on how to go about it, including how the indigent will be resettled, how they will be brought into being, how they will also get something economically viable within the region. In that perspective, we made the recommendation to the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces for his approval. And some of the recommendations have already started, whereby we're having some other security personnel coming to join us in some areas that were liberated by the ministry. Remember that also of recent, we have opened up Sambisa Forest, whereby we are trying to make some passages, I mean in terms of movements and bridges, where this area can be ransacked, people can move about, and in generally, I'm telling you that we have now dominated the Sambisa Forest, which is almost 60,000 kilometers square. We have started the reconstruction and the resettlement of some of the villages in those general area.
In driving the post-insurgency challenge, then comes the Iran explosion. You initiated an investigative committee on this. What are your findings?
The recommendation, the preliminary investigation has been done, and they've submitted their report, and we are looking at it with some experts to confirm actually what the real problem is and what are the steps that will be taken to avoid future occurrences. But the final report is still yet to be received from the defense headquarters, which have already established a subcommittee or a committee involving both the armed forces involved in the general area. So our Air Force have done their professional job, and it's just communication gap that really happened, because eventually it was discovered that the insurgents were in the place. They only moved out of it just of small few minutes or hours. The Air Force came and the bombs were released. So it happens many other places, in many other places, not only in our country here.
Talking about the Iran explosion, that was a costly error. What does that say about the accuracy of our defense formation?
Well, you know, a military strategy is a very, like you said, it's a key program which it can assist in the, can always be